This is Russ with Journey with God, and today we want to take a look at the book of First Corinthians. And today we want to focus on just a general overview of what the book of First Corinthians has in store for us as we go through each one of these chapters and look at what Paul is addressing to the church of Corinth that directly can apply to us in America today. The church doesn't drift into error by rejecting Christ outrightly. It drifts by redefining him. First Corinthians shows us what happens when the gospel is affirmed in words, but not reorganized into practice. If you want a letter that flatters the church, this is not it. If you want a letter that makes you feel comfortable, this is not it. This letter is an honest and brutal diagnosis of what the condition of the church of Corinth is in doctrinally and in practice. Philosophy, rhetoric, status, power, and self-promotion shaped how the people thought and lived in the church of Corinth, much like these things shape how believers think and live in modern day Christianity. Paul writes because he has received a report about the divisions, immorality, lawsuits, the worship that is out of order, issues about marriage, and these things concerned him. And so he sought out to put the church of Corinthians on the right path. But Paul doesn't treat these as isolated problems. He addresses them as symptoms of something much deeper. A root cause throughout the letter is this: the Corinthians are interpreting Christian life through worldly categories instead of the cross. The central theme of the letter of First Corinthians is about reordering the Christian's mind and behavior under the lordship of our Lord Jesus Christ. Paul not only merely correcting behavior, he is confronting how the church thinks and acts. Again and again, Paul exposes a false confidence in leaders, confidence in wisdom, confidence in giftedness, confidence in spiritual experience, and confidence and freedom. Each time Paul brings these Corinthians back to the same reference point: Jesus Christ and him crucified. The cross is not merely how salvation begins. It is how the Christian life is understood, evaluated, and lived out day to day. Whenever the cross is sidelined, even subtly, disorder follows. The book of First Corinthians have two major divisions in the book. Chapters 1 through 6 deal with problems reported to Paul. Chapters 7 through 16 is a response to questions the Corinthians asked Paul themselves, but the same theological logic governs both sections. We will talk about those as we move through each one of the chapters of the book of First Corinthians, as in a deeper dive to understand the heart of Paul, the corrective actions that Paul desired to see in the Corinthians, and how the Corinthians responded to the instructions of Paul. As we move through each of these chapters, I want you to take notice at what Paul is saying, and keep in mind that no instruction by Paul is random. It's God-given, and these are God-breathed instructions to his body. Let's take a look at some key theological emphasis. One is the cross redefines wisdom. The Corinthians prize intelligence, eloquence, and insight. Paul doesn't attack learning. He doesn't attack knowledge. He attacks confidence in learning. God's wisdom does not compete with human wisdom. It overturns it. And this is how you have experienced day to day when you meet a Christian who's never been to a seminary, has never had a major Bible course, but has taken his Bible and has read his Bible on his knees before God day after day after day. And you find out that that man or woman is deeply rooted in the wisdom and knowledge of God. How can that be? Because wisdom is from God. It does not come from institutions. And Paul highlights that and corrects their thinking in this area. Number two, the cross eliminates boasting. Throughout the letter, Paul targets boasting, not merely moral boasting, but theological boasting. Boasting reveals what a person trusts in. God has designed salvation so that no one may boast except in the Lord. And the cross governs Christians' freedom. This is number three. Number four, the cross shapes the church's spiritual gifts. Knowledge is real. Experience is real, but none of these define maturity. Love shaped by the cross does.